a Roundtable wedding planning discussion, episode number 100.
Are you subscribed to our show? Don't miss a show. Subscribe to From Ring to Veil anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you don't know how, just let us know and we'll help you.
We now have a Patreon page. This is a place where you can support us monetarily. If you want to give $1, great. Any little bit helps. This will help us pay for things like hosting, books, and magazines for research. And it also sends us to great podcasting conferences so that we can learn and make this a better podcast and to get great things for giveaways. Go to www.fromringtoveil.com/give to see our Patreon page.
So we were able to round up a few of our favorite wedding professionals to come help us celebrate this huge milestone. Yay!
Join us for some great information and ideas from some of our top wedding vendors in the area.
Welcome to our 100th episode, 1 year anniversary extravaganza. Today we have 5 of our favorite past guest hosts with us. So why don't we just go around the table and say who we are and our company.
I'm Alan Chitlik. I'm a DJ. Puget Sound DJ is my company name.
This is Reid Johnson. I'm with Best Made Videos, Wedding Videography.
My name is Creighkett Smith, and I own the venue, The Lookout Lodge.
My name is Kate Gansneder, and I run GSquared Weddings.
And I'm Ginger Herr, and my company is Chalk.Ink.Style.
Yay! We're so glad. You guys are some of our favorite guest hosts, and we were like, who should we invite? Well, we got to invite Creighkett. We got to invite Reid. We got to invite, so you guys were some of our favorites. And because my table can only fit so many people, we had to keep it limited. And I only have 4 microphones right now. So we are so thankful for you guys. Thank you so much for all of your support, for coming out and recording with us more than once, a couple times. All the support and help that you guys have given us has really helped us grow this last year. Without you guys, it wouldn't be as good as it is.
Right. And it's been a year of learning this process and doing all of this. And it's been a year of growth for me as well, because I am, kind of shy and things like that. So talking to people and interviewing is way out of my comfort zone. So it's been awesome. So.
Yeah. It's been definitely learning. I'm sure you guys have grown and learned this year too. Let's just start out by, if you guys want to share something that you've experienced this year, maybe, or your favorite moment from a wedding or planning, or whatever. Something that means something to you that happened this past year.
As you know, we do own a floral design company. It's called Willow and Vine. I will say that it has been a challenging year since we were new to the industry here. We did grow. We did make the best of weddings of the knot, so we were happy about that. Really? Because since I came from Texas to here, it's been there are different mindsets of brides and things like that, and so it was challenging to me to get the feel of these brides here and what I can do for them and their styles and things. So that was my biggest challenge of the year.
Okay.
Some of my favorite memories are trying to customize weddings for cultural or other elements that were personal to the couples. I had a military wedding in June, and one of the things that they do, they have some of the groomsmen had swords, and on their way out, they slapped the bride's butt with the sword, which
Marines.
I thought was a really funny
Yes.
tradition. I had a wonderful Native American wedding in May, and really enjoyed the drum circle and other things being a part of that. So just trying to bring out the things that are significant to a couple was always really interesting and fun.
That's cool. A drum circle. That's really neat. Yeah. I've never been to a Native American wedding, so I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
And that would be probably a good challenge, trying to figure it out. Anybody else? Reid, do you have anything?
Yeah,
I know you got married this year, didn't you?
I know. This was a busy year. We did 60 weddings this year, plus my own this summer. So that was, in retrospect, probably not the most sane idea. But, kind of the reflection that I came out with was just how much I really do love doing weddings. And I'm really happy that we I found my way into this, profession now with doing wedding videos specifically. As somebody that Alan will attest to, as Alan was a DJ at my wedding, I broke down and just sobbed walking down the aisle to our ceremony. So, I really do get it, and it's really given me a lot of insight now, talking with brides and grooms after the fact. They seem to really enjoy that we just got married and went through that, and I can, really speak firsthand about kind of some of the challenges, both planning and going through and all of that. I feel like it makes me a more well-rounded wedding professional because of that.
Absolutely.
Creighkett?
I would have to say a big learning moment for us with the Lookout Lodge, and I think it's for any business. We've always had a fairly good web presence, and this year I really made myself or forced myself to be involved in, online, just different websites that I could host, the Lookout Lodge on or join. And I was actually shocked at the response just from changing a few things that we did online, a few search engines that we were a part of that really doubled the amount of inquiries that we received. And so really for any business, I suggest that I don't think anymore it's a, yes, you can hit the streets, but that presence online is huge to launch your business. And I would just like to give a little thank you to Kate, who's in the room here. Even though photography is her absolute wonderful skill, also it is helping with that web presence, and she was instrumental in that. And so for this year, 2016, we really saw a huge response to joining the knot, joining the wedding wire, changing some stuff on our website, changing keywords on different websites that we're a part of. And so if you haven't done that already, I highly recommend that you do.
Exactly.
Kate?
Oh, goodness. Where to start? Well, for us, it's kind of been an exciting year. We had a little bit of growth as far as the number of bookings. We went from 49 last year to 53 this year. And we are able to beat our deadline for getting photos out to our clients, which has been fantastic. But I think the biggest change that we saw is that more and more couples are looking for more of an intimate ceremony and a bigger reception. And so we're finding that coverage choices are changing a little bit. We tend to attract a lot of the elopement couples now, or the really super intimate weddings that are under 50. And so we've changed our packages and offerings so that we can really cater to those clients, because we understand that your needs aren't quite as much as a bigger wedding would be. But it's definitely helped us hone into what we love to shoot, and that is definitely those adventurous, outdoorsy couples.
So for me, I really enjoy the aspect of kind of personalizing boards and everything like that for the couple. And on top of that, really, I've enjoyed getting to work with some of the other people in the industry, like Kate. We did a photo shoot, and so that was kind of fun, and just getting to meet other vendors in that way and see what they do. It's just been really good for me, because I'm still pretty new to the business aspect of things. I'm about a year and a half in, so it's been really good. I've enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, either you enjoy it or you hate it.
Yes.
There's really no in between.
Or it's that love-hate thing.
I could be there, because there's a couple days where I'm like,
what am I doing this for?
Yeah. For me, in this last year, of course, it's the floral business. I learned a whole lot, because before the floral business, I wasn't in the floral business, and I knew nothing about the floral business, but I learned a whole lot on that. But when it comes to the podcast, I have listened to, I don't even know how many hours of other podcasts about podcasting. So I've learned a whole lot about podcasting and what it takes to make it in the podcasting world and to stay. And if you make it to 100, they say, then you have a very good chance of making it for a long time.
Now, we've seen significant growth.
Yes, definitely.
We're happy about that.
Yes.
And we're going to keep going.
Yes. And it really has to do with you guys. When we have you on, I think those are some of our best shows, when we have guest hosts to help us share relevant, good information, that brides and grooms want to know. Need to know. So
And I think I emailed you guys about it, but I actually had a bride contact me directly because she heard our interview on the podcast.
That's what we love to hear.
yes, that's so exciting.
Yeah, and she was just really moved. Thought it was really nice to be able to hear somebody talk about it and then be able to call on it. And we booked immediately that day. And it ended up being a really successful wedding for us. So obviously people are hearing it and appreciate what you guys do and the information and everything. So
We've had a few vendors call us and say, "Hey, they heard, they listened to your show and they contacted us," and so we're like, "Yay!"
That's like one of the number one exciting best things.
We're like
to
little
hear.
squealing fangirls.
Yeah, I know.
Right, someone else I spoke to the other day too said they have someone, was it you, that is in New York and heard it also.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then-
Yeah, I've had. It's funny how big of a spread you have because every time I've ever been on the show, like after the show airs, all of a sudden I get just a slew of messages in my inbox. Oh my gosh, we heard you on From Ring to Veil, and I'm like, you guys are way across the country. I had no idea, but yeah, it's really cool that it doesn't just touch like the Seattle and Snohomish community. It's touching all over the United States because it is relevant no matter where you are. All the information you guys share, and I think that's part of what makes it so successful is that you're sharing information that isn't just helping Seattle brides.
Right.
You're sharing information that helps every bride everywhere.
Oh, that's so
That's our goal.
The other thing that I think is significant too is that for many couples, having a good personality match with your vendor is just so important. So if you hear Reid on a podcast and he connects with you, it's no wonder that you might contact him immediately and find out if he's a good videographer for you. And same thing with all of your guests. And in some cases, it's maybe not a good personality match.
Right.
But that's great to know for a couple, too.
Exactly.
You really want an all-star team of people that connect with you.
Yeah, friends on your wedding day instead of just your vendors.
Right.
And that's part of what we push to every time we are saying, hey, we're going to send you recommendations of the vendors we love, but we're going to send you a couple because we know that your personality might not mesh with everybody, but don't just look for their talent. Make sure that you like them. You're going to spend several hours with them.
Yes.
So the personality is a huge thing, and this definitely does help that.
on one of the most important days of your life. So. Great to have a good team with you.
So what changes have you seen recently in 2016 in the wedding industry, in business, the style of weddings, the culture of weddings, and things like that?
Yeah, I know. I think Kate said that she's been contacted by more people that had wanted smaller, intimate weddings, larger receptions. So that's definitely seems like to be kind of a movement, maybe.
Yeah, I think just seeing if you watch any of the bridal blogs that are huge right now and everything that's coming across your feeds, they're definitely pushing more of that stylized look. And so as brides are getting into that planning part, they're realizing to have that look, they can't necessarily have a real huge wedding. They need to do something smaller for the wedding part, and then they can party hard afterwards.
Right.
So
Anything else you guys have seen, noticed?
I think for many people that I deal with, the idea of trying to personalize their day is a big deal. That nobody really wants that cookie cutter wedding. So, from their selection of a venue, indoor, outdoor, and is it a venue that has good hangout space, like a place like Trinity Tree Farms that has a wonderful pit where you can have s'mores or things like that. If that's your vibe, you are trying to find a venue that fits that vibe. And I get fewer and fewer calls for places that have rectangular rooms, in a hotel. I think places like Salty's or Ray's that have the classic Pacific Northwest views are very popular. I think places like the Lookout Lodge that have that integration with nature. So if I were to cite a trend, I would say more and more people trying to find something that's really personal to them and reflects who they are. And then that pervades throughout the whole day. So all of their activities, to the extent that they're telling their stories, I think is a smart way to approach your wedding too.
Right.
Well, and along with that too, it even starts ahead of time in that personalization with like having logos made for brides and grooms and things like that. Working with your graphic designer can help you kind of solidify the whole look of the whole experience, not just at the venue itself. I mean, integrate that as well, but also from the very beginnings of your papers that you send out to your friends and family. So.
Right, and I think that coincides with still the trend. We don't see so much, I mean, we see a lot of DIY still, the do-it-yourself wedding, but not so much in the do-it-yourself, you're going to plan it, as much as it's doing it yourself to customize it. So yes, along with the logos, along with, customizing your music, it's that decor that they are after, or that feel. We had a wedding this summer where it was adorable, and they brought in straw bales. Of course, that forced us to change our contract, but we didn't like the straw after. But it was absolutely fitting for their style. They had some custom archways built, so it wasn't quite country western, but it was definitely fitting the outdoors, making it their personal style. So you do hear a lot of people talk about, or trends where they're getting away from DIY. I don't think so much in the decor part or in the personalization part. So yes, you still see that going strong, and not so much in a banquet hall anymore, or necessarily the church traditional wedding.
I can count on one finger how many church weddings we've done this year. So that seems to be like the outgoing trend, which churches can be intimate and for that intimate ceremony, but oh well.
But churches have been done for so long.
Yes.
And now you have all these awesome venues.
Yes.
Anything you can think of, you have.
Yeah.
And like, I know we've talked about the lookout. It's just gorgeous up there, so it's outdoor. And here there are just so many unique places to have your wedding.
Well, and I think people who live here love the outdoors. They love the trees. They love the mountains. They love all of that makes the Pacific Northwest so fantastic. And so that's why these venues are succeeding so much, because we all like being outside. And who wouldn't? I mean, look at our views. Yeah. So I can see why that's trending for sure. So, and
this area has more of a traditional sense in the wedding season.
Yes.
Like in Texas, you would never have an outdoor wedding in July or August because it's 150 degrees outside. Yeah. And so, the Austin wedding season was like April, May, March, April, May, and then September, October, November. That was the main. And so here that was one of the total challenges, is like having my summer taken away because, we had weddings all summer long. So, it's a change, but I like it because it's not hot.
Yes.
For one thing, and I'm not melting and the flowers do not wilt.
Yes, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
One other thing that I've noticed this year is I have a lot more brides that are choosing to not do the traditions. So they don't feel comfortable necessarily with the garter toss or the bouquet toss, or even cutting the cake in front of people anymore. A lot of our brides are a lot more private. And so they're finding different ways. They're doing a presentation of gifts to friends, or
we've seen that trend.
It's nice to kind of see that they don't feel like they have to do these things anymore, where a couple of years ago they did. They were still doing them because there was a lot of pressure.
I mean, really and truly, what single person wants to stand out in the middle of everyone and have something thrown at them? So I mean, it's kind of an antiquated tradition, which I understand completely. I would not. That's one thing I would not want to do anymore.
Well, it's supposed to say who's getting married next. But, that doesn't always happen.
It's always interesting for me to watch the different reactions. In many cases, the women really will compete for the bouquet, but the men will stand there and take 2 steps back when it's garter toss time.
Have you noticed, though, that sometimes there's always that one guy that he's kind of hovering, and then as soon as the garter comes, he jumps in midair. I have so many photos like that, and it cracks me up because he was the nonchalant guy.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I mean, for our wedding, I had long talks with Alan about, we didn't do the garter toss, and Alan, as a DJ, wanted to kind of talk about, why, and maybe some other alternatives and whatever, and it was just something that we just didn't feel. I had filmed a lot of really crass interesting ones.
The knockdown, drag out, bridesmaids.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen children
Just
get
the
knocked over.
acquiring
Yeah.
dress.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've seen little girls get pummeled by people trying to jump and get, So we just decided, not to. But that was obviously a conversation that we had, and that Alan gave his expertise about other alternatives and things we could do as well. So I thought that was good.
We had a show about that not too long ago, and different ways to either throw the garter, like wrap it around a football and they toss the football, or things like that, or different things that they can do, like adding gift cards to small flowers or something and give them to whoever. And so it was, it's a change.
Times are changing, right?
Can I say one last? One trend I've seen for me is I think, at least with video and whatever, I think people are booking a lot further out. Where at least I know me, summer or 2 summers ago, it would be a lot of like a month out, 2 months out. I mean, I was, in the fall, I was getting a couple of people, and I thought, well, I guess these are just really motivated, whatever. And now, I just had to talk to a woman the other day, and she goes, "Oh, we're so late, like we're crazy." And I go, "Well, no, because I was getting, inquiries in July for August weddings last year, not realizing that there was anything wrong with that." And now I have somebody in January freaking out about, their September wedding and whether they're going to have anything or not. So I just think that's interesting as well. And I do think that people are getting their vendors selected earlier. Across the board with photographers and everything. And I just think, if you know who you want, and, I think you should get on it, because there's a lot of competition for the dates and everything.
Right. We've noticed a lot of late, even like last October, we were getting July, August, September wedding inquiries, and we're like, okay, where's my spring bride? We need something in the in the front of the year. So
And now we're finally starting to get some of those,
and that's
a lot more of
kind
those.
of strange. So
I think it just goes through a cycle. Some people, you'll get a whole bunch of "I need you next month," and then you'll get a whole bunch of "I need you in 2 years." So.
Yeah. And I think that it's a good trend to see people booking farther out more now. And I don't think that, I think part of what's happened in the past is that couples are under the impression that they have to pay everything up front right away. And there's not a lot of information about how you're going to pay for and what kind of things should you be budgeting, and are there payment plan options. There's not that information on the web about educating brides on there's payment plans.
Right.
You're going to put down a deposit. You're not going to pay the whole thing up front. And so I found that some brides have literally thought that they had to pay me the moment they booked me for the entire services.
Yeah.
And so that's deterred them from booking me as soon as they wanted to. And they've missed dates because of it. So I think that they are now seeing, okay, people do offer payment plans. People do offer that there's, a deposit. I'm not paying the $4,000 up front.
Right.
So it's kind of helping the trend improve a little bit.
So you would say that's a mistake that people make during the wedding planning process?
I think that that's a mistake from the industry side.
Okay.
That we haven't educated our brides well
Right,
enough.
so it would be a great podcast.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
It is a unique one. I mean, I think the finances are something in any business, or even in shopping as a bride or as a couple. It's almost of course you want to do the fun part first, then the finance part is later.
Right. We're doing a series with all the glossary of wedding words, and we haven't got to the legal stuff yet. So it's down the line.
Oh, good.
Like retainer fees and all that things, and the difference between a retainer and a deposit. And
Well, and I think it'd be good even just, if more vendors were communicating that to brides, or even, hello, Bride Magazine, like, come on, write something about that instead of not feeding your photographers. Something helpful.
You're bitter about that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's share our number one tips for wedding planning. So, I mean, that is a really good one, just to keep in mind that you don't have to have every penny for everything when you start out. Yeah.
Head and Shoulders, far and away, my best tip for any couple is to do a first look. It has so many implications for so many elements of their day. From a photography standpoint, they get a beautiful, wonderful moment that they get to capture. From an intimacy standpoint, they get to share that moment together. Their portrait photos, if they take all their photos before, are all better. And none of this even gets to the stuff that I care about as a DJ. I want your evening to go great. I want your reception to go great. I want you to spend as much time as you can with your guests. And if you delay that, if you delay your photography until after your ceremony and your guests are waiting around now 2 hours instead of an hour for your reception to begin, you've really wasted some precious time that you could have with these guests who've come from many different places and will never be under that same roof again. And so I strongly advise any couple to do that.
I agree with that for video as well. It's a great moment. And I'm sure the photographers appreciate that.
There's probably something that you sometimes have to do in between, like at sunset or whatever. But do you prefer doing it before?
I would say yes, because I like to not be rushed. Because what happens is that no matter what, it doesn't matter if there's like a receiving line or if the parents are going to do something or there's a cocktail hour or anything like that, something happens. You also have to sign your documents then afterwards. You now have to take every single photo, and Mom is over talking to Aunt Grace and she can't walk away because Aunt Grace doesn't have her hearing aids. You know, and there's something, it always happens. And I also don't want to not be able to get all those photos of you interacting with your guests. I would much rather have you guys go into your party, because that's part of why I'm here too, is to get those candids, not just all the post.
So does the first look take away from when the bride's walking down the aisle?
Oh goodness, no. And I'll say this from my own standpoint. We did a first look when we got married, which was just less than 5 years ago. And Josh cried. He will tell you he didn't, so nobody believe him, because he did. He cried. I have photos to prove it. And Josh cried. But then when we got to the head of the aisle, I was bawling the entire way down the aisle. And literally everyone disappears. As soon as you see your spouse at the end of the aisle, everyone else goes away. I couldn't even tell you what my officiant was wearing that day. Like, it was so strong of an emotion because we'd already had that time to connect beforehand.
Okay, that makes sense.
I actually feel like it made it stronger. So.
Yeah, we did a first look, and I still sobbed. So, but we also got that great moment. Well, and for ours, we wanted to incorporate our little dog into it, so we did the first look. I had the dog, and she came up, and so Rosie. So that was a nice moment that we had that was separate, and then obviously then you have the ceremony kind of first look again in front of everybody. But I think it's cool. I mean, you get to do it twice then, basically, and I do think you get similar but different emotions.
Because those are some of my favorite photos. Was when the groom sees his bride, coming right down the aisle, and his eyes are like he's either tearing up or he's like,
I think one of the things that you don't necessarily hear about is that from a groom standpoint, there's a lot going on in his head while he's up there. Am I standing in the right place? And how is everything coming together? And all those kind of things. And then typically everybody stands up for the bride. So there's a chance that he doesn't even get to see her right away.
True. Especially if you have cell phones in the way.
Yeah. Yes. Don't go there.
Okay, sorry.
And is he thinking, I just can't imagine what he's thinking. I mean, is he like, where is she? Why is it taking so long? Or, I mean, there's got to be a ton of things going through his head. But as a girl, we're probably like, oh, he's probably just like, look at me kind of thing, But I know not all guys are like that.
Creighkett, do you have a tip for us?
I do, actually. Since Kate and Ellen both mentioned timelines, and Kate kind of mentioned being rushed and things like that. At the Lookout Lodge, one of our biggest tips, which actually there's kind of two because they go hand in hand, but is planning. And so we have an in-house planner, but we also recommend, if you don't hire her, you hire some type of planning. Planners, it can be, on the high end, they can be average. The price range is, you can find a good planner at any price range, and it depends on, the services you want, how much planning you want. But really our number one recommendation is, and we heavily recommend it, is that you have someone in particular, and it isn't usually Aunt Betty, someone not in your family, because they also want to be able to enjoy the wedding. They don't want to be involved necessarily in the planning process. They want to be there for you. They want to remember your special day. You want them to remember your special day. So our number one tip that coincides with that too is your planner will also help you stay on budget.
Right.
And actually, we don't call it budget. We call it spending plan. So your spending plan coincides with your planner. Your planner, of course, affects your spending plan. And so those are kind of our two big tips.
Yeah, that's our number one tip. Always, when we talk about planning or anything like that, always hire a planner. I even tell my brides when we do consultations with the floral business, I said, do you have a planner? No, we're going to do it ourselves. I said, I highly recommend at least a day of coordinator.
Right, and day of is absolutely. If you aren't going to have someone follow the whole process, at least have the day of. And not because you're preparing necessarily for any mishaps, but it's mostly to, like Kate said, do you want to get all the photos that are planned? As a photographer or even a DJ or video, any of those things, or even doing the chalkboards. When do those arrive? When does the venue open actually for your vendors to arrive? Things like that, your planner will know, and then you don't miss anything after the whole day. The whirlwind is over.
Right.
I can't strongly advocate enough for getting a planner or at least a day of coordinator, because otherwise your photographer ends up being your planner or your DJ ends up being your coordinator or video, and that you're not paying them for that, right? I mean, you're paying somebody to take photos for the 8 hours. You're paying your DJ. I mean, we had one where my wife actually came and helped out, and they just had hundreds and hundreds of decorations, and basically the people that were with the venue didn't feel like doing it that day because I'm sure that they weren't whatever, it wasn't part of the contract. And so, my wife spent hours that day while we're doing, getting the dress on and do all this stuff, putting out the decorations for them. And I told her, I said, if you weren't here, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know what would happen with that cake table or, any of these decorations. And it's one of those things that you learn afterward. And I think a lot of couples would say if they didn't have one that they wish, but I can't advocate strongly enough.
I can remember times where I've had to set up tables because our timeline was back, because the tables weren't set up, the linens weren't put on or anything like that. So I'm sitting there setting up tables, putting on linens and things like that to put the flowers on there because I have to go,
Right.
So I would strongly suggest a coordinator.
And it's not like vendors don't want to help. It's just that it's not their job. So if you have a coordinator or a planner, that's their job and they can make it work and have it ready. I feel like as a vendor, it's so much nicer to work with on a wedding when there's somebody there to coordinate it all.
And question. Question. There's your go-to person.
Yeah. So. Where does this go? Where's the bride? Where do I drop these off? And it's just so much easier.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to add too, because I tend to be more on that decor side. I've decorated for a lot of weddings and things, and it always takes so much longer than you think it should. So when you're trying to do everything yourself, you don't take that into consideration a lot of the time, and it takes to get all those little tweaks just right to make it look perfect. It takes a long time, so you really do need to have someone coordinating all of that to get it off of your plate. So
okay, worst mistakes you guys have seen.
Didn't hire a planner.
Number one.
Buying their flowers 2 days beforehand and then deciding they're going to make them the morning of the wedding as everyone's trying to get ready.
Not going to comment
awful.
on that.
Well, no, because I've literally had to play florist at weddings and I suck at flowers. I'm straight up, I'm awful. I cannot do it to save my life. But if it's the only thing that's going to make your wedding actually have flowers, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But you cannot DIY flowers on the morning of your wedding. It's hard to DIY flowers anyways. If you've never touched a floral stem at all, don't try it.
Or keeping them hydrated to be that way.
Yeah.
I'm going to order them from Costco and not put them in water.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Sorry.
My biggest one would be educating your guests about the order of events following the ceremony, which Alan's very good at doing, or your DJ should. We had a wedding where the ceremony got done early, food wasn't ready, bar wasn't open, and we went outside to do portraits and came back in and literally half the guests had left and gone home.
Oh my gosh.
They just thought it was over. And I don't know what that, I won't give any insights into what they were thinking or how weddings work in general, but it's because they didn't know what was going on, and they didn't know that the food was delayed or that the drinks are what they should be doing. And I think that you know, if you're planning your wedding and you think that that's really apparent of, oh, well, they're just going to know to figure it out and they'll just whatever. And people don't. And you need to have somebody, whether it's your DJ or the coordinator or somebody with the venue, you know, telling them what is going on and what should be coming up next.
This is a very specific one, but not communicating with the people who are going to be giving toasts. And every year I go up to at least one or two parents and I say, hi, I'm Alan. I'm here to talk to you about the toasts that you're going to give in a few minutes, so I can prepare them on where to stand and how to hold a mic and things. Oh, I'm giving a toast? And the look of sort of horror on their face is so disappointing. And I feel so bad for them. This is an opportunity for them to get to speak at their child's wedding, and the couple could have made that so nice by communicating and by making sure that the parent wanted to give us a toast and helping figure out how it's all going to be set up and how it's going to work and where everybody's going to stand. I think toasts at a wedding done well are a big highlight, and they're a big deal. You don't get to talk at, it's a very big honor to speak at somebody's wedding.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I really think that everyone who is going to be giving a toast should be talked to in advance and have that commitment from them and make sure they know what your expectations are.
That's a good one. And like you said, very specific. I mean, but sometimes you don't even think about that. You think, oh, my parents are going to do it. That's, you know, not a big deal.
No, I have to ask them. They're going to know they're going to do it.
But again, it's kind of like a production. You got to let everybody know who's going to be a part of it, what they're doing and when.
And that's a good segue into hiring a planner. Which we don't have one here today. Which
we don't, we didn't have one.
Come. So.
And Reid didn't pay me to say this, but I would say another big mistake is not considering videography. I believe the stats are 1 in 7 couples around here.
I know the 79% that regret.
Yeah, I mean, how much would you value the opportunity to see your parents' wedding video?
Oh yeah,
you know, and the extent to which you've got so many talented professionals in this area. The best of whom is obviously sitting to my left, but that can really add a whole nother dimension to documenting your day. And I think sometimes couples don't think through that decision. And if you make a conscious decision, if you interview some videographers and you decide that's not for me, I think that's fine. But the idea that so many people don't even interview a videographer, don't even research it, don't even think about it, is something that they would absolutely potentially regret down the road.
Yeah, and I think it's because they don't really know what they do. They think, oh, it's going to be a video of my wedding, but you're like, it's a movie. It's a cinematic art piece of what you do, and you have music and all this mood lighting and all this kind of stuff on your videos, and it's great. But
it's not like back in the day with somebody holding big clunky VCR size thing and then just, okay, here's your wedding video.
Like my wedding video.
I mean, it's not like that anymore.
I can attest firsthand to regretting not hiring a videographer because when I got married 20 years ago, it was my father, and my husband actually had contracted out a helicopter to land at our wedding, till this day, and that was when VHS, that's what you got, was a VHS tape. The box is empty, and so it's a very funny family, I guess, joke for us, is the box is empty. There's no VHS tape in there of our video of the helicopter landing. We have about 3 photos of it, and that's about it. So we do have the memory, but I would have loved to have watched the video.
Yeah, we have a lot of younger couples. I've had a lot of younger couples this year that, I don't think necessarily, have that long-reaching thought process of, well, this would be really nice. And, we had a couple earlier this summer, really young, like 20, and they were so, just amazing. Like, they were really sweet and cute and just funny. And we finally got to the reception, and they're just out there dancing, and there was maybe only 12 people on the dance floor, and they're doing their thing. And I just sat and let the camera roll for like 20 minutes, just them messing around and playing around. And I just thought, man, in 40 years, like how amazing would even just that, like set aside like the video and the editing and all that, like just to be able to show your kids or your grandkids, like, man, look at us out there.
Yeah.
We're goofy. And
We were young.
What
was that music?
Just these, just these children messing around, and I just, I don't think that people have that. It's not to not even look into it. I think, as Alan said, is a great point. That if you decide that that's not for you, then obviously that's. Right. And I have plenty of friends that get married, and we do their weddings, and I have plenty of friends that get married, and I don't video their wedding. But I do think you need to make that conscious choice.
Well, I think a lot of times people believe if they hire a photographer, they don't need a videographer, and that is so not true. And sadly, I know a lot of people, even that are photographers, that will tell you not to hire a videographer. And I think, there's more that we don't want to go into on why, but if you can find an amazing videographer, hire them.
Yeah. They get yes, your photos portray an emotion, but they get that behind the scenes.
It's a totally different emotion.
Yes.
My photos can evoke you to cry, but not as much as a video of you actually moving. And you'll remember every single moment that you're experiencing because you're watching yourself do it again. So, and that's, we always recommend a videographer. So.
Okay. So the average wedding in the Snohomish and King County areas, this is 2015 status. This is not a 2016 because that hasn't came out yet. Was $34,000. Do you think it will stay around the same? Do you think it's going to be more?
What do you guys think?
And for 2017,
I think weddings are a lot of times a direct reflection of just the economic and culture around you. In this particular area, we are definitely in an upswing. I find when maybe the economy has gone down, that's where you do find a lot more DIY weddings. People incorporating, I guess, maybe friends and family to help. But we are definitely in an upswing in real estate and just business, if you look at business figures in general. So that, I think, is a huge reflection on when people want to celebrate. For a wedding.
The national average, I think it was 26.5, somewhere around in there. So
I could see the 34 for Snohomish. I think that's a little low for King, just from what I've seen myself.
That's an average. It was 35.
Yeah.
35.50 or something like that for King, and then it was 33.
I do see it increasing, but I don't know that we'll see the increase yet. I think that if we get into second quarter, then we'll probably start seeing an upswing in that spending.
I think everybody's kind of gun shy right now. Anyway.
It tends to happen in an election year. We swing down and we stay down for a little bit. And then after Inauguration Day, it picks back up. And that's trend, and that happens in every single sector. So I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, as somebody that got married in August, I'd say that figure's pretty spot on. we had a couple favors, so we called in. But for the most part, I would say that's pretty spot on.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. At least we're not getting bad information.
No.
Money-saving tips. You guys got any?
I think a great money-saving tip, and we actually do steer our couples to this, is don't skimp on one of the things we always tell them not to eliminate are things like your photography, your videographer, a DJ, any of the special things that make it, especially with chalkboard work, that customize it. We think those things are great, but also because I have catering experience, your catering, you can make some huge money-saving, budgeting decisions in catering. You don't have to have a bear and a beef. You don't have to have, the prime rib. You don't have to have a sit-down. We see a lot of a change to, not using real dishes. There's great, plastic, heavy-duty, saves you a lot of money in the catering part of it. So my biggest money saving tip, and we always talk to couples about, is in your catering. Rolls are cheap. And your caterer in general. You don't have to hire the caterer that has a bunch of the kale and the huge elaborate dishes and presentation. The people don't remember that. Your guests don't usually remember that. They remember that they were full when they're done. They usually don't pick apart if it's salmon or chicken,
Right.
Or the Baron of beef. So like I said, it's a great money saving tip. When you make decisions in catering, go with pasta.
And you're probably going to get a lot more people liking pasta than you will salmon
Right.
or the Baron of beef or whatever.
So I would say, because I didn't really share very much with the tips and everything, but I think if you can actually work with a designer to do an invitation that really is along the lines of who you are, really kind of capturing that, you may end up saving money in the long run. Some of it depends on how many guests you have, but I've recently been working with a group on getting an invitation together for a big event, and they were looking at Etsy for some invitations that they liked, and you are paying them for design, which you could also be paying a graphic designer or somebody that can work with you and make it even more specifically about you. Because the ones on Etsy, they've designed to be kind of run-of-the-mill for everybody. And often, they'll plug in your information, but you still have to get it printed. So you still have to get nice paper. You still have to get the printing done and all of that. And so a lot of times working with your designer can help. It can be even less expensive than doing that online aspect of things. So
We worked with a person for our invitations, and she did our chalkboards, and that was by far one of the best decisions we made, of really feeling like we got our money's worth out of it, but then really personalizing everything for our wedding had that same look and feel.
Right.
And that was something even our guests, which, you hope that they'll appreciate. And
Right.
everybody came back and said, we love your invites. We love the place cards. We love all that stuff.
Right.
So I would say that is a really good.
yeah, because then your person can take all those little things they've already designed and put them to be like place cards or different, even on a napkin if you wanted to do that. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can incorporate all those fine details together to make it look put together.
Even your thank you cards,
Yeah.
we did just from start to finish, everything. Yeah.
Make everything cohesive.
Yep.
We like that.
I'd echo that. There's some great ideas from Creighkett and Ginger and Reid. The other things that I would say off the top of my head, pick a date that is not a Saturday in July, August, or September. If you are willing to get married on a Friday or a Sunday or sometime October through June even, you put yourself in a little bit better position to get the vendors that you want. Venues, in many cases, I think will have a different, lower pricing structure. Your guest count, if you can limit that even by 10% or so, think about who are the courtesy invites, who are the people that you really feel connected to, that you feel like you'll want to have been at your wedding 5 or 10 years from now, or people that you don't think you will. If you can bring that down a little bit, your costs go down pretty dramatically. And then overall, big picture, have a discussion about what your priorities are. And that's a great thing to do with your impending spouse anyway. But from a budgetary standpoint, you should have agreement on the decor is important to me, the food is important to me, the location is important to me, the first Saturday in August is important to me, the quality of the reception is important to me. Whatever it is, think about those things and be prepared to pay market price. Like, be prepared to spend what it takes to get that. But if there are things that are low on your priority list, not in your top 5 or whatever, those are things that perhaps you can spend less on or even eliminate.
Right.
Yeah, I would say being aware of your date, and exactly in like a Saturday in August, my wife wanted to get married August 6th, and so we knew that our vendors and everything would be booked up, and so we booked everything 13 months out. But yeah, if you want to get married on a Sunday, or I've done them on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
It's like Wednesdays.
It's a great day to get married.
It's like a hashtag Wednesday wedding day.
Wednesdays. Because, most of, during the summer, we have nothing in the week.
Yeah.
So, you want a Wednesday wedding? I'll give you a discount.
Yeah.
You can ask your vendors for that. You want a weekday wedding? Would you give you a discount for it? And most likely, most of them will say, sure. Because they want the business during that week that they have nothing else to do.
And sometimes it can be a sneaky strategy to select the Sunday of Memorial Day or Labor Day because that Monday is still going to feel like a weekend, and look at what the 4th of July falls on in a given year. And that may also be an opportunity to find a date that isn't a pure Saturday, but might feel like a Saturday to your guests.
And I agree with Alan on that, especially the guest count and the day that you pick. At the Lookout Lodge, we do have a price break or just a variation in prices for Saturday, of course, is your premium, and most venues do charge for that premium. But a Monday through Friday, we have a great package that's 50 guests or less. And you can go a little over 50, but of course it's not that premium Saturday price. Sunday also is a different price. So that's a huge money saving tip.
I would also say, to go off onto something else that you can save money on, is rentals. You don't have to buy everything that you want for your wedding. There's tons of rental companies, especially in the Seattle area, that have all that decor. They have plates, they have cups, they have silverware, for goodness sake. Like, they have all the fun stuff that you're seeing in Michael's and Hobby Lobby right now that you would love to buy, but it's $30 for a vase. You can probably rent it for your wedding for like $5-10. So that's another huge save, is just make sure that you can, rent as much as possible. You do not have to purchase it. Not only that, but where are you going to store all this stuff that you just
And
bought?
a lot of time our venue also does our own personal rentals. We have just private rentals of, some tablecloths, some different tables, a little bit of decor. So ask your venue as well.
And your flower vendor.
Probably not your DJ, but
I think another one real quick I'll add to is, which is not a huge savings, but your cake. I mean, I'm a big advocate of cake and desserts, but I have yet actually to see an entire made cake, full size, 5-tier cake that everybody cuts and everybody gets a piece of. What we usually see is a really cute custom cake for the couple. Very intricately detailed, small, big enough for them to have, 5 or 6 slices, and then Costco sheet cakes.
Yep. I was about to say that if you weren't going to. I was like, go do the sheet cake in the back. No one's going to know the difference.
Well, even do a mix of cake and other desserts, because I cannot tell you how many weddings I go to that they have over 100 pieces still left on the table at the end of the night. And so you're just wasting. I mean, a lot of people don't even necessarily eat cake anymore. They want the other desserts. They want the pies. They want the other cookies. Yes, cookies. Donut bar. I mean, there's so many options now. Yes, do a cake for yourself.
I love the donut bar.
Right? Me too.
So fun.
Yeah, do a cake for yourself. Yes, because it's gorgeous. But use other desserts too.
The other thing that I would say, if you like the texture and the flavor of a cake, think about a cupcake, because you can put boxes on the table. And instead of Creighkett having to throw away 100 servings of cake,
which would never be done.
I eat it.
You can give boxes to your guests, and they can take those cupcakes home and have a little dessert.
that's right. I think that's a great tip. In lieu of favors, you could do that. Absolutely.
And for your business, make sure you have that little logo on your box. They take it home and go, where did I get this cupcake from?
Yes, where can I get more?
We are anti-favor people here. At least Kim and I are. I think they're useless, and that's a money-saving tip.
Unless they're cupcakes or something good like that. That's
But
great.
no one really wants a candle.
Well, and
take
most people
home.
do leave the favors there. I mean, they're great photographically. I love them photographically because it's interesting.
Yeah.
But honestly, most people don't even.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have your s'mores or your favor and you have a s'more bar outside, they're going to use that. But that's because it's an immediate consumption. They don't want to take anything home.
Right.
Well,
Or they'll forget.
Yeah, we've seen neat ideas though, where someone had a chalkboard sign. What did it say? Don't be blinded by our love, and they gave away sunglasses. That was cute. So it wasn't necessarily a throwaway favor, but it definitely was. They used them during the ceremony and, and the event.
I mean, if they're useful,
We're pro
Yes.
that. We're pro useful. And I guess that could be another tip is don't spend your money on favors.
I mean, you're paying for their dinner. You're paying for their drinks. They're here for you. You're not here for them.
Right.
That's my
birthday
advice.
party.
So.
Well, and it's just don't spend money on things that you feel like you have to spend money on.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that, mom is pushing and she's pushing because it was something that she had at her wedding, really sit down and, like Alan said, have that discussion with your significant other, because this is the day that is to tell your love story.
Yeah.
And find something else that you can make mom happy with.
Right.
There's always a compromise. We're not going to sit here and say, hey, don't do this because mom wants it. No, we're going to say, find something else that you can give to her that isn't such a big deal.
Bring back the Jordan almonds.
Yeah.
Reid's like, what are those?
Nuts and mints, right?
Does anybody have any predictions for the 2017? Or is it going to be a lot of the same?
No, I think one of the things we've seen, or predictions, I guess, is I think they will continue with the move away from a formalized church, inside a reception hall, keeping it all natural. But what we've seen, too, is a real trend to, like, a green wedding. So really, nothing, no styrofoam, nothing being thrown away, trying to reuse as much as you can, not wasting so much, and minimal, really, decor. I guess I'm biased because of my venue, but there is minimal decorations sometimes, especially in a natural setting. You don't need to spruce up the entire outside.
Yeah.
It's beautiful already, especially if it's a beautiful sunny day. So that's one of the trends, I think, anyway, is continuing, if not already started.
Yeah, like when they do, for us, use floral in their ceremony, and then they use it in their reception also. So that's seems like a pretty.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll continue, right?
Yeah. Moving the floral from the ceremony to the reception?
Did I say that?
Yeah, reusing.
Yeah.
Okay. But I've seen, because a wedding trend report came out yesterday, and everything, they say it's going to be streamlined. It's going to be more industrial and clean lines this year. And of course, with the color of the year being greenery, there's going to be lots of organic feeling things. And say it's going to be greenery plus pops of flowers. It's not going to be like those big balls of flowers that are sitting in the middle of the table. You're going to have pops of color in there. So,
Which we've seen
Yeah.
a lot of those start happening. Lots of greenery on the tables with just a little bit of flowers here and there, and that's about it, really.
One trend that I like that I expect to see continue is an increased freedom in who's in your wedding party with regard to genders. I often see people who a gentleman, a groom has his sister as a part of his wedding party, or a good friend who happens to be of different genders. And certainly with same-sex marriages, it's nice to be able to include your friends regardless of what gender they are. And I think we'll see more of that.
right.
I agree.
I think pets also. We've actually had a lot of requests for pets, and because of it, we of course changed our policies. And I am a big fan of having Rover in your wedding. So yeah, a lot more pets in the wedding, which I just think makes for adorable pictures and actually adorable stories too.
Do you ever have deer and stuff kind of wander through during
Okay, well,
weddings?
interesting enough, they come out after, and I haven't quite decided if it's for,
The food.
yeah, and we
The
had
100 pieces of cake.
the cake, yes, we had a bear.
No.
Yes, we had a bear come by for some cake, and I've always kept that on the down low, but I guess now I'm broadcasting it.
Well, if they're not there during the wedding,
Yeah.
No,
it's afterwards.
no, they're
There's
kind
too
of
many people
nocturnal
around.
anyway. But
Yeah.
yes, the wildlife, and it's funny you mentioned that, because a few times after a cleanup of a wedding, I've always felt actually kind of good with the little crumbs and stuff left. And it sounds kind of strange, but I watched like a little squirrel one time come several times to grab like this little like burlap piece of string, and I thought, you know what? I'm doing my part. Like that's the
He's
squirrel's
making his
home.
nest.
Right, for the winter. So I guess along the lines of keeping it natural.
And green, yeah, definitely.
So is there anything else do you want to add?
I would say that a trend that I'm noticing is that our traditional busy time of year is not necessarily what it used to be in years past. It's not just sticking from June to September. I have 2 weeks off right now, and that's the biggest break I've had since last January.
Wow.
So I would say that a lot of couples are more willing to get married at any time of the year. We do have a lot of really awesome venues, though, that are opening up their space that would not traditionally be a venue for those winter weddings. So I think that that's a trend that we'll continue to see, is that Seattle is moving away from our normal pseudo summer and being willing to get married and embrace the rain.
Summer.
So
Something that I hope to continue. Most of our weddings lately have had couples do their own vows for the ceremony, and I think a lot of people take that for granted, but a lot of couples don't do that. And then people look at the videos and stuff, and they wonder, oh, well, how come all these videos don't have the vows in them? And you go, oh, well, it's because they didn't write them. And I don't care if it was 5 minutes before the ceremony or 6 months before the ceremony, but I think even just a couple lines of something that you want to say to your husband or wife or whoever that's not necessarily by the officiant, I think is really important, both for you and, for the guests to hear, and then to obviously be in the video and everything later.
have you seen this lately? I've had a lot of couples that will actually, because they can't do their own vows during the ceremony because it's just something their officiant doesn't offer, they will do their own vows at their first look. And I am loving that. That is such an intimate thing. That's because cool. They also ask us to make sure that no one is watching. And then they recite their personal vows to each other privately. Wow. I'm going to cry. Sorry.
Don't
it's
cry.
Seriously, I know, right? It's such an emotional thing. So if you don't have that option to do them in front of everybody, do them for the first look, especially if you have your videographer there. So
you can set up the camera and walk away.
That's true.
just to know that they exist, because you can't make that up after the fact.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I couldn't say my vows, because I'm a ball bag. So there's no way I could even say them. I mean, that would have been nice.
We had a bride that I think it was her bridesmaid, had to read it during the ceremony.
Oh, good idea.
But still, and then she broke down, but it happened, and it's still there, and it still exists, and that's a moment.
What a good idea. I never would have thought of that. Have somebody else read it. That'd be a good idea.
All right, well, we want to thank you for coming today, and we want to know where our listeners can find you. So, Alan?
Puget Sound DJ is my company name, and you can type that into any search engine.
Best Made Videos, bestmadevideos.com or bestmadeweddingvideos.com, and we're on all the social medias.
Great.
We are the Lookout Lodge, and you can find me at thelookoutlodge.com.
GSquared Weddings, and you can type that into everything as well.
And I have Chalk.Ink.Style, and I have Chalk.Ink.Style.com, or I'm on Facebook and Instagram with at Chalk.Ink.Style.
Awesome. Well, before we go, is there anything that you guys wanted to ask us? Since we've always been asking you guys. If there was anything you want to ask us, it's your time.
What has been the best part of doing this podcast for brides for you?
I think it's when we get comments or reviews on our like iTunes reviews and stuff like that, and they tell us that we've helped them so much in their choices. It, like we said earlier, it makes us fangirl squeak.
Yeah.
And so that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, that and getting to know all of you guys has really been cool, because we're transplants. We don't know anybody here. We didn't grow up here. It's really nice getting to know other people that live here that are kind of in the same industry that we are, and we value their opinions. So, as well as, of course, getting the feedback. That's always like number one.
What's one of your favorite podcasts that you've done?
Besides this one.
This one's awesome.
Or I guess your favorite, or what has gotten you the most response, I guess.
We had Fong Wen of PM
Dream Dresses.
PMM Dream Dresses. And she's been our largest podcast. She has our most listens, and it was she did the interview. I didn't.
Yeah, it was one of our first ones. But God, and it's so random. I'm like, why is this one? Oh, and this one and this one are biggest shows. They have nothing to do with each other. But
the trend shows are good ones.
Yeah, trend shows. Those are really popular. I'm trying to think of my favorite show, and it's really hard to pick. Gosh, I really like the trend shows myself, actually. When we find out what's coming up and the new dresses and the colors and all that. That's probably one of my favorite, is the trends.
Anything?
What do you see as the changes in the use of technology for couples in planning their weddings. Obviously, a generation ago, nobody was listening to podcasts, and you're instrumental in helping create that as a wedding planning tool. Are there other things that you see out there, or
everything's online now? Everything they want it then. They want it now. They'll contact you through any kind of social media. They want everything online, and so they don't have to sign any papers or anything like that. That's what we've noticed in the trends, and we try to accommodate that with our business, with the floral business, as well as here as well.
So I think podcasts are really, and we're not the only wedding planning podcast out there. So you've got tons of information coming at you from different places. Yeah. So I do think, podcast absolutely is a really good and upcoming and useful tool for planning your weddings. Like Shane was saying, everything being online. So with our floral business, you can go in and fill out our stuff, and it sends us an email. It automatically sends an email and say, let's set up a consultation. And it really keeps it going because, like she said, automatically you want to get a result, an answer, something to let you know that, hey, these people are listening to me and they're going to get back to me, instead of days go by and then, I just saw your email kind of thing. I really do think if there's some way that you can make sure that your website, like Creighkett was talking about, is compatible with all kinds of phones and tablets, and that's something we've learned we went to Wedding MBA and we learned some stuff. Tablets and phones and make sure it loads quickly and things like that are just, especially for the vendors, for the people in business, that's what you want. You don't want anything to slow anything down.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's going. And I think at some point there's probably not going to be any in-person consultations anymore. It's all going to be FaceTime or Skype. I mean, there's still going to be those people that like the paper and like the face-to-face, but I think a lot of the newer generation people really like technology online, and
it's that instant gratification thing,
right? We all have our phones. We can answer and ask Siri and Cortana and all those people, for Alexa, all of it, and get it answer right away. So, and I think maybe even, I don't know if you've ever seen those ask me a question, I'm here kind of things on the websites where you can just click on that and ask a question. Somebody's right there to answer you. I think that's a good idea too.
You mentioned trends. Mm-hmm. Can I ask, what are your favorite ways to learn about the trends?
Like yesterday, I was with the North American Wedding Planning Academy. They came out with a 2017 trend report, and they had many different specializations in there talking about what's coming up and things like that, like David Tukera and many different wedding planners and things. So my favorite source is, of course, the web. We search every time we have a podcast. We sit here and we search and research, and so that's how we find.
And a lot of the big wedding, like the Knot and Brides, even Vogue, that kind of stuff, especially when you're talking about colors and stuff.
I would bet it makes it hard to filter, though, through everything and try to, deduce what is going to actually be the trends and be hard.
Yeah. A lot of times there's a lot of overlap.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. So then you see, that's probably going to be it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we ask our friends, too.
Of course, some of our favorite shows are wedding news and the things that are in the wedding, like the funny wedding stories or the bad wedding stories that come in, like the Bridezillas and things that they've done. So those are sometimes fun to talk about.
What's your biggest goal for the next 100 episodes?
Well, funnily that you ask that, we are opening up to sponsorship. So our goal is to try to get sponsorship for all the shows. I know it's probably not going to happen for every single show, but that's the goal for this year, sponsorship. And of course to grow, and just keep on doing the same things we're doing and learning from our mistakes.
Yeah. What's our average listener per show now?
I believe we're at 350 per show for the first month. So in the first month, I go back and I look, and it's about 350 downloads per show.
Nice. And then it grows from there. So, hopefully we can grow that way to actually make money. That would be awesome.
That'd be great. That's a good goal. Yeah. It's giveaway time. Our friend Kate from GSquared Weddings wants to give away a special prize to one of our listeners. She wants to give away a free engagement session and a 16 by 20 print. All you have to do is go to fromringtoveil.com/100 and fill out the giveaway form. Hopefully, you'll be the winner. Thank you guys for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed our roundtable discussion with some of our best friends, our From Ring to Veil best friends.
We are so excited to get on with the next season here at From Ring to Veil. We have all new shows, new wedding professionals, and new topics coming up.
Oh, yes, we've got some really good things. So we're going to talk about destination weddings. We have some more wedding word glossaries to share with you. We have a very special guest coming on to talk about what it's like to be a professional bridesmaid and tell you what it's like as a bridesmaid at the wedding. So stay tuned, or subscribe, which would be a better thing to say, so that you don't miss any of these. These are just some of the topics that we have. And if you have any topics for us, please let us know. We're on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter. info@fromringtoveil.com. Let us know what you want us to talk about.
And until next time, no stress, no worries, keep calm and listen on.